The Eldrazi are some of the most terrifying and enigmatic entities in the Magic the Gathering universe. Drawing inspiration from Lovecraftian mythos, yet carving a chilling identity of their own, they take cosmic horror to an unthinkable level. Unlike Lovecraft's great old ones who are content to brood in the shadows of existence, the Eldrazi are relentless forces of annihilation, erasing worlds and unraveling reality itself with every step. What drives them? What unthinkable origin birthed their insatiable hunger? Let's unravel the mysteries behind the titans that rewrite, distort, and devour reality. To understand the Eldrazi, we must first journey to their birthplace, the chaotic void of the Blind Eternities. To learn about something new, you gotta start with the origins, right? That's why we're gonna give you a look at the origins of the Eldrazi. Before we go into our explanation though, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Eldrazi's origin. Where the Eldrazi come from is a question that has baffled scholars and planeswalkers across the multiverse. They originate from the Blind Entities, the chaotic void that exists between worlds, a space where time shatters, matter dissolves, and the laws of physics collapse. Unlike beings bound to planes, the Eldrazi are more like ideas given monstrous form, vast and incomprehensible. One Zendikar myth describes the Blind Eternities as the womb of unmaking, a place where creation and destruction coexist in endless chaos. The Eldrazi were not birthed from this void, but they did emerge from it, inexplicable and alien. They're not alive as we would understand it, they simply are, a force as intrinsic to the multiverse as light or gravity. Some speculate that they are a natural response to imbalance, forces of entropy meant to reset the scales. The earliest recorded sighting of an Eldrazi titan came from Lorwyn, where ancient elves spoke of sky-born shadows devouring their homeland. These accounts described the land raising into the air, swallowed by an unseen force that left only barren craters. The Titan's arrival on Zendikar remains another mystery. They were drawn to the plane's vibrant and chaotic mana, which acted like a beacon, summoning Ulamog, Kozilek, and Emrakul from the Blind Eternities. And yet, their true beginnings remain elusive. Are they the multiverse's answer to unchecked growth? A primordial force unleashed by accident? Or something far older and darker, beyond even the Blind Eternities? For now, their origin is as mysterious and infinite as the void they emerged from. To understand the Titans, first let us face the ceaseless hunger of Ulamog. Ulamog, the ceaseless devourer. Long ago, during Zendikar's darkest days, Ulamog, the infinite gyre, emerged as a harbinger of total annihilation. His arrival brought devastation to every corner of the plane. Lush forests withered into lifeless wastes, and vibrant plains like Tazim and Bala Ged turned into barren remnants under the weight of his tendrils. Ulamog's presence left no ruins or traces of life, only the deafening silence of a world stripped bare. Unlike his siblings, Ulamog's destruction is instinctual, relentless, and absolute. Planeswalkers like Nissa Ravane and Gideon Jura, who witnessed his wrath firsthand, describe the overwhelming helplessness his presence brought. In one encounter, chronicled during the battle for Zendikar, Nissa recounted how the very ground split apart as Ulamog approached, his tendrils consuming everything they touched. Even Zendikar's resilient wildlife, like the Baloths and Eldrazi predators, were no match for the Titan's hunger. But Ulamog is more than a mindless predator. He's an eraser of existence, undoing creation itself. Entire planes have succumbed to his hunger, their histories obliterated as if they never existed. The remains of Zendikar are marked by haunting signs of his presence, from petrified forests in Bala Ged to skeletal landscapes around the Seagate ruins. Even his fellow Eldrazi fear Ulamog's insatiable hunger. Like Kozilek, who distorts reality, or Emrakul, who rewrites it, Ulamog's appetite respects no boundaries, devouring friend and foe alike. During the final confrontation in Zendikar, when Ulamog and Kozilek converged, their destructive forces created an immense void, leaving scars across the land so deep they reshaped the plane's geography. Planeswalkers like Gideon Jura have repeatedly attempted to confront Ulamog, constructing intricate Hedron traps to bind him. These traps, crafted with Zendikar's powerful mana and supported by Jace Beleren and Nissa, temporarily succeeded in containing him. Yet each time their victories proved fleeting, as Ulamog's sheer might overwhelmed their efforts. But Ulamog is only one of the Eldrazi terror. In the next section, let's learn more about Kozilek. Kozilek, the Great Distortion. The first signs of Kozilek's presence on Zendikar weren't destruction, but the unraveling of reality itself. In the vast, desolate fields of Bala Ged, trees twisted into grotesque spirals and the ground fractured into impossible angles. Rivers reversed their course, breaking into shimmering streams of suspended water. Known as the Great Distortion, Kozilek's approach brings not only devastation, but madness. His very presence bends the rules of nature and perception. Kozilek doesn't simply destroy, he rewrites. His crystalline, tentacled form defies understanding, constantly shifting and reshaping as though reality itself is struggling to contain him. This is evident in the events surrounding the Seagate ruins, where Kozilek's emergence reshaped the surrounding landscape into a labyrinthine nightmare. Survivors recounted how entire fortifications warped into nonsensical structures, while defenders lost their sanity, unable to reconcile the alien geometry surrounding them. Kozilek's powers extend beyond physical corruption. His influence seeps into the minds of those nearby, unraveling their thoughts and perceptions like a frayed thread. During his re-emergence on Zendikar, planeswalkers like Gideon Jura and Nissa Revane reported experiencing vivid hallucinations and a profound sense of paranoia. In the battle at Seagate, countless Zendikari fell victim to his psychic assault, turning on one another in confusion and despair. It wasn't fear or rage, one survivor would later explain. It was as if I no longer understood who I was or why I fought. Unlike his sibling Ulamog, whose destruction is indiscriminate, Kozilek thrives on confusion and despair. He weaponizes paranoia, sowing distrust among allies and leaving societies fractured long before his tendrils touched the ground. During the battle for Zendikar, Kozilek's influence disrupted the carefully coordinated efforts of the Gatewatch, forcing even planeswalkers to question their strategies and intentions. His power doesn't lie in brute force, but the dismantling of resistance itself. Yet, even the destruction of Ulamog and Kozilek cannot prepare you for Emrakul. Emrakul! When Emrakul descends upon a plane, the transformation begins quietly, an unsettling wrongness spreading like an infection. On Innistrad, her influence turns serene landscapes into grotesque nightmares. Wolves sprouted extra limbs, angels fused into twisted monstrosities like Brisella, voice of nightmares, and the very ground seemed to pulse with a rhythm alien to the plane itself. Known as the Promised End, Emrakul doesn't merely destroy, she rewrites reality itself, reshaping it into her incomprehensible design. Unlike Ulamog's pure destruction or Kozilek's reality-warping chaos, Emrakul's power is all about sneaky manipulation. Entire towns lost their minds, with people acting on bizarre urges and following her will like it was their own. Jace Beleren, the brilliant telepath, attempted to understand her thoughts through the fractured minds of her victims. What he discovered wasn't chaos, but terrifying order. Her thoughts weren't disjointed, he reflected. She wasn't destroying Innistrad, she was perfecting it. Emrakul's greatest act on Innistrad was her deliberate imprisonment within the Silver Moon, orchestrated by the combined efforts of the Gatewatch and Tamiyo, the Moon Sage. Yet, even this apparent victory left doubts. Was it truly a trap or simply part of Emrakul's unknowable plan? As Jace mused after the battle, it felt like she allowed herself to be imprisoned, like she was waiting for something. Emrakul isn't just a cosmic horror, she's a force that renders existence unrecognizable. As one Zendikari elder once put it, Ulamog consumes the world, Kozilek breaks it, but Emrakul makes it into something we no longer understand. And perhaps that's the cruelest fate of all. Now that you're aware of our three titans, let's tell you a little bit more about the history of the Eldrazi. History of the Eldrazi. For an untold span of time, the Eldrazi Titans roamed the multiverse, their immense power unchallenged. This unchecked expansion came to the attention of three powerful planeswalkers, Sorin Markov, Nahiri, the Lithomancer, and Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. Recognizing the existential threat posed by these colossal beings, the trio devised a plan to contain them, a necessary evil to prevent the utter devastation of countless worlds. Ugin, driven by a desire to study these enigmatic creatures while simultaneously neutralizing their destructive potential, proposed a cunning strategy to lure the Eldrazi to a single plane and imprison them there. Zendikar, a plane rich in mana and possessing unique properties, was chosen as their prison. To achieve this, the planeswalkers amplified Zendikar's mana signature, acting as a powerful beacon to draw the three primary Eldrazi, Ulamog, Kozilek, and Emrakul, to the plane. The Titans, drawn by the irresistible surge of energy, unwittingly fell into the trap. Zendikar itself possesses a natural defense system called hedrons, crystalline structures imbued with powerful binding properties. Using these hedrons, the planeswalkers effectively sealed the Eldrazi within a planar prison, preventing their escape. While the success of their plan was undeniable, the task of guarding this perilous prison fell primarily to Nahiri, who became the warden of these cosmic entities. Further safeguards, anchored deep within the Akum mountain range at the Eye of Ugin, were implemented. ensuring that the prison remained secure. Ugin, ever the pragmatist and strategist, incorporated an intricate release mechanism designed to be virtually impossible to trigger, requiring the simultaneous presence of 3 planeswalker sparks and the casting of a specific colorless and highly destructive spell known only to him, a failsafe against potential future misuse. Despite their imprisonment, the Eldrazi influence on Zendikar was far from inconsequential. While most inhabitants remained unaware of the Titan's true power, the plane itself, possessing a degree of sentience, reacted to their immense power, suffering under their influence. The raw power emanating from the imprisoned Titans was so profound that many Zendikari creatures came to regard them as gods, attributing the world's trials and tribulations to the divine whims of these monstrous entities. Among these, the merfolk developed a unique interpretation, worshipping Ulamog, Kozilek, and Emrakul as Ula, Kosi, and Emiria respectively, perceiving them in their distorted understanding not as destroyers but as benevolent, albeit incomprehensible deities. The long shadow of the Eldrazi shaped Zendikar's history and culture, even in their entombment. Now, you can't talk about Zendikar and just skip talking about Zendikar Block, so let's cover that in the next section. Zendikar Block! The cunning and ever-scheming Nicol Bolas, a powerful dragon planeswalker, possessed a keen understanding of the Eldrazi's terrifying potential. He recognized their power as a tool, not merely a destructive force, and formulated a plan to exploit it for his own enigmatic purposes. Bolas's strategy centered on the controlled release of the Eldrazi from their Hedron's prison on Zendikar, a calculated risk designed to serve as a formidable test. His aim was not merely to unleash chaos, but to gauge the capabilities of other planeswalkers, identifying any potential obstacles that might thwart his far-reaching ambitions. By carefully manipulating events and subtly influencing the actions of 3 other planeswalkers, Jace Beleren, Chandra Nalaar, and Sarkhan Vol, he orchestrated the initial breach of the Hedron's containment. This strategic maneuver weakened the protective network, allowing a significant number of smaller Eldrazi spawn to escape the prison's confines, yet the 3 colossal titans, Ulamog, Kozilek, and Emrakul, remained bound within the remaining Hedrons. This partial liberation served as the first phase of Bolas's intricate scheme. The ensuing chaos, while significant, did not fully unleash the Eldrazi threat. However, shortly thereafter, another pivotal event transpired. Nissa Rivane, a planeswalker deeply connected to Zendikar's natural essence, joined forces with Sorin Markov, another planeswalker already involved in the conflict, successfully repelling a significant wave of the released Eldrazi brood. Misinterpreting the situation, Nissa reached a fateful decision. Convinced that freeing the colossal titans would compel them to leave Zendikar, she took drastic action. Against the advice of Sorin, and with a catastrophic lack of foresight, Nissa systematically destroyed the remaining Hedron network, releasing the imprisoned titans from their long confinement. The consequences of Nissa's actions were immediate and devastating. Emrakul, the most enigmatic and potentially dangerous of the 3, escaped Zendikar entirely, vanishing into the terrifying expanse of the Blind Eternities, a realm beyond comprehension. Kozilek, the reality shatterer, chose a more insidious approach, burying itself deep within Zendikar's very crust, its influence subtly corrupting the plane from within. Finally, Ulamog, the ceaseless hunger, unleashed its full, unfettered fury upon Zendikar's surface, leaving a trail of devastation and dust in its wake as it consumed everything in its path. Bolas's gamble had paid off, revealing the strengths and weaknesses of certain planeswalkers, while simultaneously plunging Zendikar into an unprecedented catastrophe, a crisis he could now watch unfold from afar. Battle for Zendikar! For a considerable period, the monstrous Eldrazi titan Ulamog wreaked havoc upon the plane of Zendikar, relentlessly reshaping its landscape into a desolate, chalky ruin. The devastation was widespread and catastrophic, leaving in its wake a testament to the Titan's immense power and insatiable hunger. In response to this existential threat, the heroic planeswalker Gideon Jura journeyed to Zendikar, determined to confront the Eldrazi menace and bring an end to Ulamog's destructive reign. However, Gideon's initial assessment of the situation proved sobering. A fleeting glimpse of Emrakul, another of the colossal Eldrazi titans, revealed a power so overwhelming that Gideon recognized the need for reinforcements. He made the strategic decision to temporarily abandon his initial assault, understanding that a solo effort would be futile against such overwhelming might. He retreated from Zendikar, embarking on a quest to gather allies capable of facing this unprecedented threat. Gideon's subsequent efforts yielded significant results. He assembled a coalition of powerful planeswalkers, bolstering their ranks with skilled and courageous Zendikar natives. With a reinforced army, he returned to Zendikar, ready to execute a comprehensive strategy to subdue Ulamog. Meanwhile, the merfolk planeswalker Kiora, harnessing her deep connection to the oceans and drawing upon her considerable power, summoned a formidable legion of sea monsters from the plane of Theros. She also strategically deployed Zendikar's indigenous and equally dangerous marine life, intending to exploit the Titan's vulnerabilities and overwhelm it with a combined assault. This powerful alliance launched a coordinated attack against Ulamog, engaging the Titan in a desperate, large-scale battle. Despite their valiant efforts and the ferocity of their assault, the Eldrazi Titan proved too formidable an opponent. Ulamog's raw power was simply overwhelming. The combined forces, despite their strength, were decimated, their attack ultimately failing to significantly hinder the Titan's destructive path. Undeterred, Gideon proceeded with his contingency plan. He devised an intricate strategy centered on the creation of a new Hedron network, mimicking the ancient prison that had previously contained the Eldrazi. His meticulous efforts paid off. A new web of powerful Hedrons was successfully constructed, effectively trapping Ulamog once more, temporarily halting its reign of destruction. The victory, however, was short-lived and fraught with unforeseen complications. With the major threat seemingly contained, the assembled planeswalkers engaged in a heated debate concerning the long-term disposition of the imprisoned Titan. Before a resolution could be reached, the demonic planeswalker ceaseless intervened. He masterfully exploited the potent energy stored within the recently constructed Hedrons, absorbing it to reignite his own fading spark and, more critically, unleashing Ulamog from its newly forged prison. But ceaseless's actions didn't stop there. Drawing upon the chaotic energy he'd absorbed, he awakened Kozilek, the other imprisoned Eldrazi Titan, from its slumber beneath Zendikar's surface. The two Titans, now unbound and fueled by newfound power, renewed their destructive rampage across the plane. After a fierce and perilous confrontation, the Planeswalkers managed to defeat ceaseless. However, the immediate threat remained. Using their combined might and unique abilities, Gideon, Jace, Chandra, and Nissa, now known as the Gatewatch, executed a desperate plan. They channeled their immense powers, manipulating the very fabric of reality to forcefully pull Ulamog and Kozilek's colossal physical forms into a contained space. With the Titans pinned, the Gatewatch, leveraging their intertwined strengths, focused their combined energy upon the imprisoned behemoths, finally ending the physical manifestations of Ulamog and Kozilek on Zendikar. Despite this seeming victory, a profound uncertainty remained. The true nature of the Eldrazi Titans, their fundamental connection to the multiverse, and the possibility of their ultimate eradication were questions that lingered, casting a long shadow on their perceived defeat. Their essence, as fundamental forces of the multiverse, could not be easily dismissed, leaving the possibility of their return ever present. Marvelous verdict! So now we know that the Eldrazi are among the most fascinating and terrifying creatures in Magic the Gathering. The three Titans, Ulamog, Kozilek, and Emrakul, are forces of pure destruction. Unlike Lovecraftian horrors, their active and relentless nature turns them into a unique menace. Come on, they annihilate entire worlds without any purpose. You wouldn't want to mess with them. Have you ever built a deck with one of these three monsters inside of it? Do you have any other such Titans you'd like to see videos like this about, other than the ones from the Lovecraft Mythos? If so, let us know about them in the comments down below, because we really want to hear about it, and who knows, we might even end up making that video. As always, if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.